Warships, rivalries, and a nation caught in the middle. Quite a title, right? But this is a story that's playing out in real time. It's about global power, shifting alliances, and one nation, South Africa, trying to navigate a very treacherous path. And trust me, this is about way more than just a few ships. We're talking about the new world order, taking shape right before our very eyes. Okay, so picture this. Warships from three of America's biggest rivals, we're talking China, Iran, and Russia, are sailing into South African waters. Now, this is not just some friendly port call. This is a statement, and it's a statement being made by one of the West's oldest allies in Africa for the whole world to see. So you gotta ask, right? What is really going on here? We've got warships on the horizon. Is this just a friendly drill like they're saying, or is this something bigger? A strategic power move aimed squarely at the West? Well, officially, South Africa's Defense Department has a name for it: the Will for Peace drill. Kind of ironic, maybe? The official goals, they say, are all about cooperation. Maritime safety, joint ops, protecting shipping routes. On paper, it sounds totally normal, pretty standard stuff. But, and you knew there was a but, right? Washington is watching this very, very closely. They are not buying the whole business as usual story. Why? Because look who's involved. This is a rival geopolitical bloc, and when their warships show up together, it's seen as a direct challenge. You can feel the stakes getting higher. Okay, to really get what's going on, we have to zoom out. Let's look at the bigger picture here. This whole naval drill, it's basically a perfect example of the BRICS Plus power play in action. It's all about their mission to shake up global politics. So what even is BRICS Plus, you might be asking? Well, think of it as a geopolitical club. And it was basically created to challenge the political and economic dominance of Western powers. For decades, the West has called the shots. BRICS Plus is here to say, hey, not so fast. It's a direct challenge to the way things have been. And this isn't some flash-in-the-pan alliance. Look at how it's grown. It started out as BRIC way back in 2006. That's Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Then in 2010, South Africa jumped on board, making it BRICS. And just recently, boom, a huge expansion. Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the UAE, Indonesia, they're all in now. This is a serious, rapidly growing coalition with real global clout. Now, here's a really interesting point from defense analyst Dean Wingren. He says, look, this isn't South Africa's first rodeo with China and Russia. They did this back in 2019, and honestly, nobody really blinked an eye. But fast forward to 2023, with the war in Ukraine raging, and suddenly a very similar drill called Mosey 2 causes this huge international backlash. What changed? Well, everything. The whole world changed, and the meaning of these drills changed right along with it. And that backlash really gets to the heart of the problem for South Africa, which is its relationship with the United States. See, this naval exercise didn't just happen out of the blue. It's happening at a moment when the ties between South Africa and the U.S. have pretty much hit rock bottom. We're talking a historic low. And it's kind of been this tit-for-tat thing, this downward spiral. You had the Trump administration hitting South Africa with higher tariffs and aid cuts. Then South Africa fires back by doubling down on its ties to BRICS Plus and, hosting these drills with U.S. rivals. And more recently, you've got South Africa taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, which you can bet did not go over well in Washington. If you want one moment that just sums up how bad things got, this is it. President Trump didn't just skip the G20 summit in South Africa. He went on social media and called it a total disgrace. I mean, wow, that's not just a diplomatic cold shoulder. That's a full-on public smackdown. The whole world saw just how broken that relationship was. Okay, so this isn't just about hurt feelings or angry tweets. This diplomatic drama has very real, on-the-ground consequences. We're talking about the economic fallout. For South Africa, the price tag for these foreign policy choices could be absolutely massive. So let's break down what's actually at stake. Just look at this number, 100,000. That's how many jobs the South African Reserve Bank thinks could be lost because of U.S. tariffs. 100,000. This isn't some abstract political chess game anymore. This hits people right where they live, in their jobs, their ability to feed their families. It's devastating. And when you dig a little deeper, you see the tough spot South Africa is in. It's like a classic head versus heart situation. On one hand, the economics are clear. Their ties to the West are crucial. U.S. companies create way more jobs there than Chinese companies do, especially in big sectors like farming and cars. But on the other hand, you have the politics and the history. The ruling party, the ANC, feels this ideological connection to China, and they haven't forgotten that Russia supported them in the fight against apartheid. So what do? Follow the money or follow your historical allies. And this isn't just something politicians are debating behind closed doors. Nope. This whole global tug of war is spilling right out onto the streets of South Africa, and it's showing us just how divided the country is about which way to turn. I mean, check this out. It's an incredible split screen. In one part of the country, Cape Town, you've got Ukrainian protesters at the harbor watching a Russian warship dock, begging South Africa to reconsider. Then, at the very same time, you jump over to Pretoria, and you have South African activists outside the U.S. Embassy furious about American foreign policy. It's like two totally different realities happening in the same country on the same day. And just listen to this quote from a Ukrainian protester. "It is emotionally hard for us." You can just feel the heartbreak in those words. For them, to see the very same Navy that's attacking their homeland being welcomed for a friendly training exercise, it's more than just politics. It feels like a deep personal betrayal. But then you flip the coin completely. Listen to this South African activist. They call the United States a gangster and a bully. For them, the real threat to the world isn't Russia or China. It's American interventionism. They're looking at what happened in places like Afghanistan, Libya, and Iraq, and they're thinking South Africa could be next. It's a view that comes from a profound and deep-seated distrust of U.S. foreign policy. So for these protesters, it's all connected. They're drawing a straight line from past U.S. actions in Iraq and Libya to what's happening today in places like Venezuela. They see a pattern, and they call it imperialism. So in their minds, protesting in favor of Venezuela isn't just about Venezuela. It's about defending their own country's right to make its own choices. So where does all of this leave South Africa? Well, it's stuck on a high-stakes tightrope. It's a balancing act. And you have to wonder, how does a country like South Africa walk that line when you've got two giant superpowers on either side, both yelling, "You're either with us or against us"? Because at the end of the day, this is a really precarious spot to be in. You have these rival blocs, the West and BRICS Plus, flexing their military and economic muscle. And countries like South Africa, they're caught right in the middle of this escalating power struggle. The danger of getting caught in that crossfire, well, it's very, very real. And so that leaves us with one big final question to think about. When you're caught between these rival powers, what's the true cost of picking a side? And maybe the even tougher question is, what's the cost of trying not to?